Excellencies, our world is becoming unhinged. Geopolitical tensions are rising, global challenges are mounting, and we seem incapable of coming together to respond.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Mr. Smiles. As a CEO, it is my job to try to predict and navigate the volatile landscape of the business world, to make sure that my finances are in a safe harbor before devastating micro and macro financial implosions occur. But that honed skill is multifaceted, and this is important because financial outcomes are not limited to geographical lines. This brings up the topic of the video today. What I noticed is something extremely troubling, that the postmodern world has become irreparably unmoored from financial sanity and replaces exchequer with conflict certainty. The postmodern world has always faced dire systemic conflicts over the years, but those conflicts could be chalked up to ignorance, bovada, antiquated traditions, or even cultural norms. In today's technological connective world, those so-called primitive behaviors were thought to be relics of the past, but global conflict is rearing its ugly head once again, but this time it has no excuse. You might be saying, and rightfully so, why do we always seem to be pushed to the brink of catastrophes that seem to be manufactured? You might be wondering, where is the energy that's pushing this particular narrative coming from? Well, the facts are sobering and revealing. Most of the conflicts and problems and deep-seated issues have come from Europe. Yes, this is not me saying this, but this was a statement made by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
At the beginning of the 20th century, Europe had numerous powers. It was truly multipolar, but it lacked robust multilateral institutions, and the result was World War I. A multipolar world needs strong and effective multilateral institutions.
Who has frequently noted Europe's historical role in large conflicts, especially World War I, highlighting that multipolarity without strong multilateral cooperation will lead to chaos. Most world conflicts stem from Europe. Isn't immediately obvious, but this sentiment reflects historical reality, especially regarding world wars. We have deluded ourselves in believing that we have progressed past the primitive outlook of throwing stones at each other in one fashion or another. But learning from the past mistakes only happens by admission that there is a deeper systemic issue at play. For instance, how things are governed, how the power structure is set up, who is giving the keys and mantle to yield that power, the psychological instability of those who are given authority most of the time, over and over again. So this shouldn't be shocking that again, we stand on the precipice of complete and total anarchy and insanity, and the seeds that will soon bud this fruit of terrifying instability will most likely come from Europe ground zero, the epicenter, and places and regions that have nothing to do with this impending conflict will be drawn into it, once again, like in the past. Just look at what's happening right now in Europe. The factually driven data is revealing an uncomfortable truth. Europe's problem is emotional hysteria, a society that is running on fear, desperation, and nostalgic glorification of the past.
Early December in Berlin. Instead of being in class, thousands of young Germans are out on the streets, protesting the return of military service. For this generation, about to reach adulthood, the countdown has already started. From January onwards, young men like Ruben and Ivar must register for potential military service.
I think it's outrageous that I can't even decide for myself whether I'm going to the front or not.
There's an instinctual gut reaction that you feel pity for the youth who grew up in a fictitious world where they believed they had a choice over their body. They believed that they were the arbiters of their own destiny. But when it comes to warfare, they are quickly realizing that delusional belief was just a dream. Because when it comes to those who have dictatorial power in one form or another, control through a smile and a carrot, or control through a stick, and terror when they want to accomplish their goals. That line is blurred between the two, and those of the masses soon realize they have little to no say over what is compulsory demanded from them.
And to me, it's obvious that something must be done. Militarization is advancing, and we need to ask why. Once you understand that, it becomes unacceptable to serve as a cannon fodder for a war we don't want.
The return of conscription, a symbol of a country rapidly rearming.
And this goes the same for any region that is connectively related to that same European mentality, because when your amenities, your conveniences, your democratic choices become a liability, how quickly all of those perceived progressive triumphs turn overnight into nothing but vaporous air. In the video, the young Germans are finding this particular outcome troubling. Europe right now is a powder keg. It is being bombarded viciously from all sides and levels. Both sociologically it is highly demented, economically it is highly unstable, environmentally it is highly critical. The birth rate in Europe is at record lows. Recent data suggests that mental health conditions are at historical highs and is growing crisis in Europe. You combine all of these factors with inadequate social safety nets in a society where balanced nationalistic pride is replaced by hyper-individualistic survival, individual accomplishment above social stability. It's no wonder that Europe is in its waning phases as it tries to deal with crisis after crisis, stumbling in the dark, trying to piece together and patch together what is irreparably broken, constantly lost in a world without knowing its true identity anymore, seeking emotional and mental clarity through war and violence, warring with each other about social issues that in reality will never improve their rottening financial issues. Europe is stuck.
Our world is becoming unhinged. Yet, global governance is stuck in time. Look no further than the United Nations Security Council and the Bretton Woods system. They reflect the political and economic realities of 1945, when many countries in this assembly hall were still under colonial domination.
It's stuck in a decaying spiral. But that should frighten the world, because whether you like it or not, they have deep financial roots in all parts of the world. And when rapid contraction happens violently and abruptly, well, let's just say, just like in World War I and World War II, a lot of other countries that have nothing to do with initiating or instigating the disastrous catalyst, they too will be caught up in the consequential crossfire, probably pushed to be cannon fodder for something they never had a choice making. Soon Europe's problem will most likely be the world's problem, just like it was in the past before. The road you travel is the road that you'll always be on, and the place you'll always return to if you don't learn to read the signs and know when it's time to exit the road. Wherever you travel, there you will be. A lesson. Europe seems hell-bent on not learning.
It worries me more today because they keep wanting it. They keep wanting it. They keep talking about it because it interests them. Because it is in the interest of these people and certainly not in the interest of the European people.